Right, I've now done most of the sort of fitting of the bodywork and the gapping, so it's now time to fit engine and gearbox back in and all the ancillaries that go around it, such as the expansion tank, filler tank, and all the stuff for the fuel injection. And then to make sure that when the cam closes, that it misses all the bits that I've got there. So there's been quite a bit of fettling to do on the rear part. The other part that I did notice and was odd, I can't explain, is the actual closeness, if that's the right word, between the engine trumpets and the rear chassis member there. I knew it was going to be close, but that seems ridiculously close. Of course, it does mean that quite a bit of the engine does come into the compartment, which I'm quite happy with that side of it, but not too happy on how close everything is. And it looks like I'm possibly going to have to shave off the top of the trumpet there, as that's going to be very close to the glass. So my problem was there's going to be some engine movement, especially under braking. So he's going to go forward a little bit on the engine mounts. So I thought I'd better do something about it. So what I've added, as you can see down here, is a 4/2 brace. I've welded a 1/2 inch bung into the chassis, used 1/2 inch rose joints, and managed to pick up on this 302 engine anyway. As you can see just there, we have a 1/2 inch UNC hole already in the block. I'll go around the other side so you can see it a bit better. Right, okay, so hopefully you can see that a little bit better from this side. And again, I've used a 1/2 inch rod end UNF, both ends. Obviously one's left-handed, one's right-handed, otherwise you've got a problem trying to make the thing fix. So when that's finally put in and tightened up, then I'll put a little bit of tension on it so that there should be no movement. Yep, that's going to introduce a little bit of vibration into the chassis, but it will allow the engine to rock and obviously to move up and down. What it won't allow it to do is to move forward, which is the object. So that's where we are with that idea. We will see what it's like when we try it. Right, I've now fitted the coil pack. I've got individual coil on plugs. This is the bracket that came with it, which picks up on a long spacer, one at that end and one at the other end. And I'm just thinking with vibration, it's on a long pedal stool, whether there's any fatigue. That's the first question I've got to ask myself. The second is, unfortunately, it's very, very tight to say the least, with cables, pipes, and God knows what else down that end. So what I'm considering doing, and I'm about to try and do now, is to remove that fixing there and one at the other end, cut it, and then actually this aluminium bracket that the coil is mounted to, bolt that directly through to the cover. So I'll bolt from the inside with silicone to seal it, and that will then allow me to move them this way so they come up close to that pipe outlet there, and that will allow me a lot more room at that end there. Obviously there's going to be some heat soak from the cam cover, from the rocker cover up into the aluminium, so I'll just space it off on maybe 2 or 3 millimeter spacers just to raise the back surface away from the cover. So that's the job to do today. So I'll do some more videoing when I've completed it and we can see the effect. Right, that's now changed and moved the bracket, so we're a lot closer towards the rear of the car here. Obviously I've cut the bits off from before, and this bracket now is bolted down in 4 places directly onto the rocker cover. Each bolt is under there, so that's not going to go anywhere, and sealed with silicone. And as you can see, I've now got a lot more room. That's a lot better in that area there. Right, one area where I did have a clearance problem was the top of the expansion and the top of the coolant. Actually, hit up the top here. I didn't want to cut into those, and it was only just touching, so what I'm going to do is just lower both of them by about an inch. Rather than remake the brackets, I just re-drill the holes so it drops down, and ditto on that unit. Right, finally sorted out the clutch release bearing with great help from AK Sports Cars. So what we've ended up with is a new sleeve supplied by AK, which bolts on where the existing one did. It's slightly bigger in diameter with a turn down section there. I'll show you the rest in a minute. What I had to do was to take an extra 2.5 millimeters off of the step to make it a little bit deeper. And then AK gave me a part number from Roadcraft for a center release bearing, which is this thing here, which is quite tiny compared to what I was thinking of putting in there. And that literally, where are we, slides over that part there and goes up against the shoulder. And that's it. It is located by the two pipes, so quite sturdy. They'll come out through one of the holes where the lever arm would have gone through. You've got to keep the flexible pipes because the way the system works is this whole mechanism, or the whole red bit should I say, and the thrust bearing moves forward and back. Now I've set it up so I've got 0.1, 0.15 maybe between the thrust race and the fingers, which should allow for a bit of wear. As to what size master cylinder I use, not sure until we try it. May have to go up or down, because what I want is quite a free, easy pushed clutch. I don't want a heavy clutch. So that's where we are. It wasn't cheap, but then the whole car wasn't cheap, was it? But I'm not doing it for saving money, we're doing it because it's fun. Right, that's it now fitted in location with the pipes exiting out through where the old mechanism would have been. I've positioned it such that the bleed, which is that one there, comes off the top, so that's nice and straightforward for bleeding. It's tight at the back, but not a problem, and we can slide it forward if we need to. Yeah, so that's how it will operate when it moves. So no problems there.